Just a few days ago, Silicon Valley Bank was regarded as the 16th largest bank in the US and had an A1 credit rating, and now its collapse could potentially lead to one of the largest economic disasters in the past century. How did we get here? Well, in short, the bank bought a bunch of 10-year treasury bonds when interest rates were low, but since then, the Federal Reserve increased rates drastically, causing the value of the bonds which SVB held to decrease in value. SVB then had to sell their bonds at a loss and announced that they would sell a bunch of their stock to cover the loss as well as raise capital from investors. But this news dropped their stock by 60% the same day. Then SVB clients started to pull their funds from the bank in fears of insolvency. The bank then tried to sell themselves as a last resort, but the FDIC quickly announced that they would be taking over and attempting to sell SVB's remaining assets and eventually return what they can to depositors. Now, SVB is FDIC insured, meaning that the depositors should have access to their money on Monday, but only up to $250,000. But why does any of this matter? The biggest concern right now is a bank run, which is basically when a bunch of people fear that their bank will not be able to repay their deposits, so they rush to their banks and withdraw as much as they can. The reason why this can have a very bad impact on a bank is because they are not required by the Federal Reserve to have all deposits liquid at any certain time. The requirement set by the central bank is that they only need to have 10% of deposits liquid. You may have heard about this before. It's called fractional reserve banking. This allows banks to loan out your money in efforts to earn interest on it. So hypothetically, if 40% of a bank's users wanted to withdraw their deposits at once, this could cause the bank to become insolvent. People are worried that this could happen to other banks as well. Now, who is to blame and what should be done? Well, first, when it comes to SVB's managing team, they could have handled the situation a little better. They told people not to panic and to stay calm, and personally, I don't think that's the most comforting thing to hear from your bank. There are even reports that some of the higher-ups sold portions of their stock a few weeks ago, but that does not change that the fluctuation in SVB's balance sheet was not a one-bank occurrence. Banks were sold the idea that interest rates were not going to increase this much, so that the idea of buying a 10-year treasury bond around a 1.8% interest rate was an attractive idea at the time. The Fed even said that inflation was transitory, implying that interest rates were not to be increased much at all. In December 2020, when the Fed was printing money at an all-time high, they put out that they did not expect rates to go over 1% by the year 2023. So I'm not exactly sure who to blame yet, but it does seem like the Fed was extremely irresponsible with preparing for this reality. The reaction to this online has been very weird in my opinion. A lot of people are cheering that big tech is being punished for ruining whatever they claimed for it to have ruined, that this is some sort of win for the common person as rich people will be punished, and it's showing some sort of arrogance of supposedly libertarian tech bros that they now need help. But that's not really what's going on here, is it? More and more small banks could get crushed, resulting in a consolidation of power between big banks, such as JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. Big tech is not really getting hurt. Silicon Valley Bank was involved in 50% of venture-backed startups. This bank going out of business disproportionately negatively impacts small businesses, and on the margin helps big business oligarchs. Some college professor on Twitter may shout for this to be some sort of big tech retribution, but it could not be more far from it. The impact this could have on GDP might not be realized for another 10 years with the amount of small businesses and new tech ideas that could be destroyed. But then again, not all of the facts are out about this, and I'm not entirely sure what the truth is. This is just really my opinion after a few days of reading Twitter. I'm not really willing to die on any hill here yet.